Your mouth is ready to speak, but your brain hits pause.
There's a full sentence stuck in your head, in your native language, and it's refusing to come out in English.
This isn't a vocabulary problem. It's not about grammar. It's about how your brain is wired to think.
In this episode, we're not going to throw random phrases at you. We're going to reprogram how you process language, so English becomes your default, not your second thought.
Because the real fluency starts, not in your mouth, but in your mind.
Welcome to the Practice English Podcast. I'm Danny, here with Welly, and today's episode is going to change how you think. Literally.
This isn't about learning more grammar or memorizing another list of phrasal verbs. It's about training your brain to work differently. So, English isn't something you translate. It's something you think in.
We're going to break down what's blocking your fluency, show you real-world techniques that actually work, and help you stop feeling like a translator and start feeling like a speaker.
And don't worry, we've got you covered with a free PDF. It's linked in the description and includes vocabulary from this episode, plus bonus practice steps you can start using today.
Whether you're a beginner trying to build confidence or an advanced learner stuck in translation mode, this episode is for you.
So grab your headphones, open your mind, and let's get started. Fluency isn't just about speaking fast. It's about how easily your ideas turn into words without taking a detour through your native language.
When English becomes your default mode, something changes. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing every sentence. And suddenly, speaking flows more naturally.
Your confidence grows because your thoughts connect smoothly to your speech. Not perfectly, but clearly.
And it's not just about speaking. Shifting your internal language sharpens your listening too. You stop decoding every phrase and start grasping the meaning instantly.
Movies, podcasts, conversations. Everything becomes more intuitive because your attention is in sync with the language.
Even your pronunciation improves because when your mind starts working in English, you begin to absorb the natural rhythm of speech, not just memorize the words.
And here's something most learners don't realize. Adopting this mindset also gives you emotional control. You stop worrying about being perfect and start focusing on connection.
That's what we want for you. Less pressure, more presence.
And it all starts with a shift in how you process your experience. Not just speaking in English, but functioning in English.
You probably already know. Operating in English makes everything smoother. But just knowing that isn't enough if something keeps pulling you back.
And honestly, it's not your fault. Most of the time, it's just a handful of habits no one ever told you to avoid.
Here's a big one, translation mode. Every sentence begins in your native language and arrives in English halfway broken.
It's like trying to sprint with a parachute on your back. You'll get tired fast, and progress will feel slow.
Another common trap? Obsessing over structure. Trying to build a flawless sentence before saying a word.
But by the time you decide where the verb belongs, the conversation's already moved on.
And let's be real, fear plays a role too. That tiny voice that whispers, "Stay quiet. You might mess it up."
Spoiler alert, you will mess up. And that's exactly how growth happens.
Here's one more thing we see all the time. Surrounding yourself with your native language 24/7.
If English only exists during study time, your internal system won't adapt. It needs to be part of your lifestyle, not just a task.
But here's the good news. Every single one of these obstacles is fixable.
And the first step? Start becoming more aware of the language environment you're creating each day.
Let's pause here and review a few essential words from earlier. They're not just helpful. They're the building blocks of how you'll start operating in English.
Let's take a closer look at a few key words that came up earlier. These aren't just vocabulary terms. They reflect the exact struggles many learners face.
First, translate. Definition: to convert words from one language to another. Example: when I get nervous, I start translating everything in my head, and it slows me down.
Next, sentence. Definition: a group of words that expresses a complete idea. Example: don't aim for perfection. Just build a simple sentence and speak it.
Now, fluency. Definition: the ability to speak a language, naturally and smoothly. Example: I gained more fluency by talking to myself than by memorizing rules.
Let's look at mistake. Definition: an error or something that's not correct. Example: every mistake you make is proof that you're practicing and getting better.
These words aren't complicated, but they're powerful because they describe what you're living through.
So don't just memorize them. Say them out loud. Use them when you speak.
Because the more these words feel like your own, the easier it becomes to communicate clearly and confidently.
So how do you actually start thinking in English? Let's break it down. 6 practical steps that truly work.
Step 1. Name what's around you. Wherever you are, say what you see. Phone. Window. Keys. Backpack. It builds speed and confidence.
Take it a step further. Don't just say coffee. Say, I'm drinking coffee in a blue mug. The more real it sounds, the more natural it becomes.
Step 2. Talk to yourself. Yes, out loud or in your head. I'm brushing my hair. It's raining outside. I forgot my charger.
You don't need an audience, you just need repetition.
Step 3. Use an English-to-English dictionary. No translations. Look up a word like confused and you'll see. Not sure what is happening or what to do. Clear in English. That rewires how you understand meaning.
Step 4. Start simple. No need for long, complex ideas. Say, I'm going to the store. Don't say, I'm preparing to purchase necessary groceries for the week.
Keep it basic. Clarity leads the way. Complexity can come later.
Step 5. Develop an English inner voice. Don't think in your first language and then translate. Ask yourself in English, what should I do now? What time is it? What's next on my list?
Let your decisions, your plans, even your daydreams, happen in English.
And finally, surround yourself with English. This is key. It's not just about study time. It's about your entire environment.
Watch a show with subtitles. Put on a podcast while you cook. Let English fill your space, even passively.
Because what your mind hears often starts to feel familiar.
So 6 steps. Repeat them daily. Start small. Stay steady.
And soon, you won't just be learning English. You'll be living it. Now that you've got the tools, let's talk about what really makes them work. Consistency.
This isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every single day.
Start simple. When you wake up, think in English. Before you check your phone, try this.
Today is Thursday. I have a meeting at 9. I need to send that email. Just 2 or 3 quick thoughts. That's enough to set your tone.
Then repeat the same habit at night. Ask yourself, what did I do today?
I made dinner. I watched a show in English. It doesn't have to be perfect, just present.
Next habit? Create a no translation zone. Pick 30 minutes a day where translation is off limits.
Only English. Even if you say less. Even if it feels awkward. This is where real rewiring begins.
Want to go further? Talk to yourself out loud. No one's listening. It's just for you.
Say what you're doing. I'm folding laundry. I'm making toast. This shirt needs ironing. It turns your daily routine into language practice.
And here's another tip. Think in English during passive tasks.
Walking, cleaning, cooking. Use those moments. It's sunny outside. I feel relaxed. I hear birds.
And one more. Keep a journal. It doesn't need to be long or detailed.
Just 1 paragraph. Or even 3 bullet points. Forget perfection, focus on expression.
Thinking in English becomes natural when it becomes part of your routine.
The habit builds itself. You just have to show up for it.
Let's take a quick moment to highlight some of the key words we just used. They may seem simple, but they hold real power when you make them part of your routine.
First, consistency. Definition: doing something regularly without skipping, even when it feels small. Example: I don't study for hours. I focus on consistency. A little every day makes a big difference.
Next, autopilot. Definition: doing something automatically without needing to think about it. Example: after 2 weeks of thinking in English, every morning it started to feel like autopilot.
Now habit. Definition. A repeated behavior that becomes part of your daily routine. Example, writing one sentence in English before bed became a habit. I don't skip it anymore.
And finally, journal. Definition: a notebook or digital space where you write your thoughts, experiences, or ideas. Example: I keep a journal in English to track my growth and clear my thoughts at night.
These aren't just definitions. They're tools for change.
Use them when you speak. Think about them when you practice. Write them in your notebook.
Because the more natural these words feel, the more natural your English will sound.
Let's be real. Some days, English just doesn't flow. You sit down to practice and your mind goes blank.
And that's okay. What separates progress from frustration isn't avoiding bad days. It's knowing what to do when they come.
One common struggle? Still thinking in your native language first, then scrambling to translate every word.
That slows everything down. So try this. Start with just one thought. Even a single sentence in English is a win.
Here's another tip. Use your English to English dictionary more often. It keeps your brain working inside the language, not bouncing between two.
Something else that holds people back? Freezing when you forget a word. But fluency isn't knowing every word. It's describing what you mean.
Forget how to say refrigerator? Say, the cold box where I keep my food. That's thinking in English.
And then there's the most frustrating feeling of all. I'm not getting better.
But you are. Progress often hides until you look back.
That's why tracking is powerful. Record your voice. Write short notes in your journal. Talk to yourself in the mirror.
Then, after a few weeks, go back and compare. You'll hear it. You'll see it. You'll feel it.
Becoming fluent isn't about perfect progress. It's about patterns, patience, and showing up, especially when it's hard.
So if today felt tough, don't quit. The ones who sound fluent? They're the ones who kept going. Let's bring this into the real world. You've been thinking in English. Now it's time to speak it.
And no, you don't need a partner. You just need your voice.
Start with what you're doing. Making lunch? Say it out loud. I'm chopping vegetables. The pan is heating. I'm adding salt.
This isn't about performing, it's training. You're building a direct path from your thoughts to your words.
Here's another technique, shadowing. Listen to a native speaker, then immediately repeat what they say. Match the tone, the rhythm, the pauses.
You can do this with any content you enjoy. A podcast, a YouTube clip, even your favorite show.
The goal isn't to sound perfect. It's to get comfortable.
Another tip? Record yourself. Choose a topic. Speak for 1 minute. Then play it back.
It might feel awkward at first, but that's how you notice your speed, pronunciation, and confidence growing.
And if you want to take it further, ask yourself questions. What did I do today? What's one thing I'm looking forward to? What would I do if I moved to another country?
You're not just practicing, you're creating real conversations with yourself.
Talk while you're walking, while you're cleaning, even while brushing your teeth.
Because every sentence you say makes the next one easier. Thinking in English isn't something you're born doing. It's something you build. One sentence, one habit, one thought at a time.
And if today you spoke, reflected, or tried something new in English, that's a win worth celebrating.
So keep the momentum going. Rewatch this episode if you need a refresher. And don't forget to download the free PDF in the description.
It's filled with key expressions, simple examples, and daily habits to help you stay consistent and confident.
And if this episode helped shift your mindset, share it with someone who's still stuck translating everything in their head.
Your progress might inspire theirs.
Now, if you're ready to turn thinking into action, you'll love our next episode.
We're breaking down 10 powerful habits that successful people use to stay focused, motivated, and consistent in life and in language learning.
Click the video that's appearing now on your screen.
And let's keep building your English routine, step by step.
This is the Practice English Podcast. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Keep practicing. Keep growing. We believe in you, and we'll see you in the next lesson.